Don Charles on a warpath. What's going on, people? Welcome back to another one. Today we're talking about Don Charles and his celebration tour, his revenge tour, and what he's been going on with. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts below. Don Charles has been doing a few interviews around since his win over Anthony Joshua with his fighter, Daniel Dubois. And he's been a bit of a sore winner. It's a bit of a madness now. I don't like how Don's going on. I do like Don as a trainer. I know he's a very passionate guy, but some of the stuff he's doing, I'm just like, one, you're kind of ruining the win or taking away the win slightly from Daniel Dubois. And especially in the fact of you're putting yourself quite highly in the spotlight rather than your fighter. Obviously, we know Daniel Dubois is not really a big talker. He's quite a quiet guy anyway. But the fact that Don's coming out and has had some very choice words for a few people because they doubted him and stuff like that, or doubted Daniel Dubois, it's just a bit mad, especially going into this fight. Now, I, like many others, predicted that Joshua would fight. I'm very surprised Daniel Dubois did, but also very happy for Daniel Dubois. Not a lot of people have a lot of things against him, but it seems that Don is quite bitter. It feels like the people doubting that Daniel Dubois would win the fight would mean, in turn, people doubt him, that he would ever be a champion, he would ever be this, ever be that. And it's just like, bro, don't be so bitter. Like, fair enough. You know, you might have other things going on within the boxing industry, but even based on Don's past coaching experience, you can't then expect people to be like, yeah, definitely Daniel Dubois is going to win the fight. Or definitely Don Charles, his coaching is up there, because the name that you associate highest with Don Charles is Derek Chisora. And obviously Derek Chisora is a British legend, but hasn't reached the highest levels of sport. He's fought for world titles, but he hasn't quite gotten over that line. We're seeing a resurgence in Chisora now, but he's not with Don Charles anymore. So you can understand why people might be a little bit apprehensive to pick him for a fight. Now, going forward, I will be firmly in Daniel Dubois' corner for majority of the fights that are waiting for him at heavyweight. But I feel that this way of going about things, it just might be a little bit wrong. Now, he did an interview on TalkSport, which was just very, very, let's say, beefy. Had a lot of energy for Gareth A. Davies. And while I don't really like Gareth A. Davies and I don't really like a lot of his takes, I just thought it was very, misdirected. I think, people have a right to be annoyed with Gareth A. Davies with things he says. But I don't feel like Gareth A. Davies has said anything too crazy about Daniel Dubois or about Don Charles. Or maybe I'm missing something there. He's come out very harshly on Ben Davison and Anthony Joshua. And again, it's just like, yeah, fair enough. I guess he might have felt disrespected if he felt like Ben Davison was quite dismissive of Daniel Dubois, like, he could end early, stuff like that. And I even said this in my video. People were writing off Daniel Dubois way too quickly and giving him no chance. I don't really blame a lot of what happened in the ring on the coaching. Now, I know there's a clip going around of what Ben Davison was saying to Anthony Joshua before he got knocked out, but I blame a lot of it on Anthony Joshua's performance, his in-ring performance. I've even seen footage of people trying to break down some of Ben Davison's training methods with Anthony Joshua, how his lead hand was low and stuff like that. But I've also seen training footage from the exact same camp where AJ's hands are tight in a tight guard and he's catching punches from Alois, the cruiserweight with heavy power. So those two things were worked on in camp. On the night, for some reason, AJ did not do those things in the ring. And it leads me to another thing as well, like pride cometh before a fall, which will be biblical with it. Don Charles needs to be very, very careful about how aggressive he's being with this win. You're taking the limelight from the fighter, and especially when you beat a name like Anthony Joshua, you have a chance, so Daniel Dubois and his team have a chance to now capture those fans and keep those fans for his own. Not all of them, but a lot of them, because you're putting yourself into that limelight. If you have your coach out there who's alienating fans and coming across arrogant and coming across a little bit disrespectful, well, you kind of miss that chance to capture those fans, because people, even if you look at the comments in the TalkSport section, people will start turning away from you, from your fighter, and from your team. A lot of people were on side after the AJ fight, but Don Charles's interviews are starting to turn a majority of people the complete opposite way. I would just say, it should be a bit careful with that. I like Don Charles. It's good to see him finally achieve this and get a world champion in his stable. But you can't be too annoyed at people for having an opinion on your fighter not being a favorite when he isn't a favorite. He wasn't upset and he did well with it. The next side of it is the Usyk stuff that he's talking about. And that's, again, this is what I feel turned This is what turns people really away from Don Charles. He's calling Usyk a liar, a cheat, doubting his faith and stuff like that is absolutely ridiculous, and it's so disrespectful to someone like Usyk. Now, low blow gate, whatever that was, for me, it was a low blow. If it was another referee, it might not have been called a low blow, but by the rule of law, it is a low blow. He got hit in the bladder. Fair enough. Usyk got up and arguably won the rest of the round, got more aggressive and on the front foot. He went down and held it for 5 minutes, or kept on, it wasn't even 5 minutes, just used his allotted time to recover and then got back into the fight. Dylan Dubois uses a lot of time to try and win the fight, you know, to recover his energy, to charge himself back up, to go back in with power again. So I don't buy all this Usyk is a cheat and Usyk is a fraud and all that stuff. I just don't really like it. I don't buy it. That's what's coming across as super bitter and coming across as a little bit disrespectful towards Usyk. You know, questioning his faith and kind of bringing it to that level of things, like, I feel like that's pretty low, especially with someone like Usyk. He isn't someone like Fury or someone like whoever who just, you know, say they use their faith, or Ryan Garcia, but then their actions are the complete opposite of what they say they believe in. Usyk's actions and how he carries himself is, how can I say it? It's a perfect example of what he believes in. So for you to kind of, you know, it's not some wishy-washy thing like Ryan Garcia. So I just feel like it's way too disrespectful to start bringing that into it for something that, you know, you have a belief that it wasn't low or whatever, but by the rule of law, it was. And then even on top of that, you've said you'll win by any means necessary and all this type of stuff. And in the interviews before, Daniel Dubois was saying he would hit him low, headbutts, grab him up, whatever. Daniel Dubois said that. He said it before the AJ fight as well, headbutts, this and that, the other. And Daniel Dubois never said this before. So I've got to also question, what is Don Charles teaching his fighter? As much as we like Daniel Dubois now, he is a dirty fighter. Don't get it twisted. He's a dirty fighter, and he's been fighting much dirtier since being with Don Charles. So I don't like Don Charles getting on the kind of the high horse and getting on Usyk like that. Nah, not great. But what do you think of all this madness of Don Charles versus the world, the revenge tour? Or do you think it's warranted? Do you think he's going a bit too far? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. See you soon.